Okay, let's go. Okay, so today is on the validity of the concept of intelligence, and on Friday we're looking at an extract from Fritz Cognitive Neuropsychology of Schizophrenia that I put on BSpace. I was a bit late putting the Gould for today on BSpace. It is now there, but unfortunately I called it Gould and Intelligence rather than Mismeasure of Man. It's about intelligence, but it's from the Mismeasure of Man. I hope you can find it. Maybe I've changed the title. Okay, but anyway, validity. We've come across the concept of validity before, right? Do you remember this? Validity? When I was a teenager, I went through a phase where everyone I knew was playing darts. So I was not very good at darts, so I got a book about how to play darts. And the book said, when you're playing darts, when you're learning how to be good at darts, the first thing you want is to be able to get your three. You know what darts is? Yeah, okay. This is a dartboard. You get your three darts in the same place. Don't worry about where they are exactly. Just get them onto the same place in the board. Once you've got them clustered, you can learn how to move the cluster around. But the first thing is to get them all hitting the same spot each time. And it was of no help to me. I mean, to this day, I very rarely hit the board at all when I play darts. But anyway, that's yes. Yes. Yeah. This is only the most tenuous connection with the idea of the validity of an argument that any of you who have done logic will have encountered. Yeah. I mean, it's like it in that validity is a good thing and not being valid is a bad thing, but that's about all we have in common. You see, I mean, this is a different notion. It also has a long track record in philosophy, this notion of validity. It goes back to Kant, who talked about some concepts being a priori valid and some being empirically valid. But it's also a notion that every scientist will recognize. So just to illustrate it, just to give an example of what I'm talking about, there was a crisis in psychiatry in 1971 when psychiatrists in the UK and the US, then in 1971, it was with the UK and the US as it is now, just one in the same research community. You know, people thought of themselves as in the same research community. And psychiatrists in the UK and the US were played videotapes of the same 12 patients being interviewed, and they were asked to classify the patients as either schizophrenic or not schizophrenic. And the astonishing finding was that there were big differences. You could be easily be classified by schizophrenic by one psychiatrist, not schizophrenic by another, therefore put in different courses of medication. And there was a general systemic difference in that the British concept of schizophrenia was much more tightly defined than the American concept. The bold circle there of UK diagnostic categories. But it wasn't really as tight as that makes it look. It was pretty haphazard whether you were being classified as schizophrenic or not. And of course, that's a real shock. That's a real surprise. It shows that there's something wrong with the way that the concept of schizophrenia is being used, back then anyhow. So the analogy to the dartboard is the darts are going all over the place. They're not clustered. You see what I mean? You're not getting the same people classified in the same way each time. So that's reliability, getting the same people classified in the same way each time. And the natural reaction to this was to give very explicit criteria for whether you have schizophrenia. So in DSM-4, you've got a checklist in today's the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual that every clinical psychiatrist uses. You're given a checklist for whether someone has schizophrenia. So you're given their behaviors or symptoms, and you're classified as schizophrenic if you've got two or more of the following: delusions, hallucinations, disorganized speech, grossly disorganized behavior, or catatonic behavior. And so on. If you meet enough of the criteria on the checklist, then you are classified as schizophrenic. That's the way it goes. Now, you see the point of that. That's like getting your darts clustered. That's like getting it so that you're always hitting the same thing each time. But of course, the next question is, are you hitting the thing you want to hit? Is this the right checklist to have? I'd just be curious. I keep asking you guys questions, but so I thought I'd write it up and see what you said. How do you think it should go? What is your gut impulse? Do you think that schizophrenia should be defined in this way, in terms of a checklist of symptoms? Or is it in terms of, should we think of it as a matter of having some brain virus? You know, if you're schizophrenic, there's some particular thing that should be wrong with your brain, not particularly to do with a checklist of symptoms. Or should we say what they were saying, in effect, back in 1970, that maybe you can't define schizophrenia, but an experienced psychiatrist will always be able to tell when it's present. So can you put your hand up if you think the answer to that is A, you should use a checklist? And if you think the answer is B, there's some possibly unknown brain virus, that's what schizophrenia is. And if you think the answer is C? Yeah. Okay, I'm curious, C is the one that really got challenged by the 1971 study, you see what I mean? Because these were all experienced clinicians who thought, well, I can tell you when a patient's schizophrenic. And then the shock was finding that they all diverged. And that, you see what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. And the toss-up between A and B is still a live issue, I think, today. It's just not known how you should go about this. But there's a general kind of philosophy of science question here. Skinner famously said, well, any kind of psychological category has to be defined in terms of the behaviors it gives rise to. Operationalism is the practice of talking about your observations, the manipulations and calculations that you do on them. And then if you want to talk about whether someone believes someone, whether something's in pain, you've got your checklist. Here's how I tell whether someone's in pain. Here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for shrieks. I'm looking for excitation. I'm looking for high galvanic skin responses. That's pain. Then you'll be classified as being in pain or not in these terms. On the other hand, you might say, no, maybe you hit the same thing every time when you get an operational definition. You got a checklist, but you might not be hitting the thing you want to hit. Maybe I classify everyone who shrieks. I get all the shriekers into one group, all the non-shriekers into another group. That's great. But what I wanted to hit was not shrieking, but pain. The thing underlying the shrieking. And that classification of people into the ones that are feeling pain and the ones who are not, that might be different. Yeah, so that's what you're thinking if you say the brain virus here. You're thinking, I don't know if I want a checklist, because I'm trying to get at something that lies behind the symptoms, something that explains the symptoms. That's what I really think is important about schizophrenia. So again, I'd just like to know what your feeling is. It's not that there's a right answer here. I'd just be curious what you say. If you're going to use scientific terms rigorously, should you go the way Skinner did and say you should always give a checklist definition in terms of the criteria you can observe? Or should we not do that? Because we should never do that. Because in science, usually what you're trying to get at is what lies behind the checklist, the thing that makes someone display those symptoms. Or I mean, this contrast between reliability and validity isn't something specific to psychiatry. Every physicist using some measure of a black hole activity has got a question. Maybe my instruments give me the same result every time, but are they measuring what I think they're measuring? Every scientist has some form of this classification. And what's your hunch? Put your hand up if you think the answer is A. If you're going to be rigorous, you should always define your terms in terms of a checklist operationally. And if you think B, typically, or maybe always, you should not define them in terms of a checklist because you're trying to get at something that lies behind the checklist. And C, just don't define them. I guess that's just a test. That can't be right. Okay. Any comments on that? And there's a big difference in attitude here. It's very live in psychiatry at the moment, but through psychology, when people were arguing about behaviorism, you're exactly that issue. And anyone who's done work where it's difficult to pinpoint the phenomenon you're looking for, at some point thinks, well, to hell with the phenomenon I'm looking for. All I care about is a checklist. These are observables. I don't know about them. Okay. So is that clear what the distinction is between reliability and validity? Yep. Yeah. How would they do it? Well, it would be a bit like what actually a medical doctor does. A physical, a family doctor does when they're looking at you. They say they might not be able to give a checklist, but they've just been doing it a long time, and they think there's something wrong with your breathing. So they just got a hunch. They couldn't put their finger on it. Just why? But they've got a sense that there's something wrong. So. Yes, there might be something deep in the brain, and you don't know what it's doing, what checklist it's working with. Yeah, that's right. That'll be the natural diagnosis of what's going on here. Yeah. But it's not that you're explicitly trying to do that. The picture would be, I think the picture that many psychiatrists still have is, look, I've been working with schizophrenic patients for 50 years. I was trained by the best clinicians in how to recognize schizophrenia. I've seen hundreds, thousands of patients. I'll tell you who's schizophrenic and who isn't. I don't need a checklist. And it's very natural to have that reaction. Yeah. But the trouble is that people diverge when they're doing it in that way. Yeah, you don't get reliability. In fact, you don't get reliability. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. If there's one there. Yeah. I think that's true. I think that's right. I mean, it used to be thought, the hope used to be that there will be a single brain virus for schizophrenia, a nice neat thing in the brain that you can see, oh, look, there it goes, generating schizophrenia, just as viruses generate other diseases. But just this year, I think it was, there came out in Nature a paper identifying over 100, now that there is the Human Genome Project, the Human Genome Map, people are able to do all these massive studies where at the moment they have over 100 genetic markers for schizophrenia, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. There are likely to be several hundred more genetic markers for schizophrenia, and what that means is you're not getting a nice clean mechanism here. They might all converge in generating a big, a big bulb in your brain or something, but it's really very unlikely that's what's going to happen. It's entirely possible. It might all just vanish off into the trackless wastes of the complexity of the brain. You might not have any identifiable brain syndrome underlying schizophrenia. And then all you could do, as far as I can see, would be to give the checklist. Yep. Otherwise, you might say, no, we were focusing that on. So if you can think of reliability and validity in terms of something like the sight on a gun. You get a telescopic sight on a gun or something like that. One kind of thing you can have with a gun sight is it's very precise, as opposed to just a notch in the barrel where you couldn't point at anything. You've got a very precise thing that seems to be identifying to the millimeter what's in the center of the shot. That's precision. But it's another question: is the sight twisted? Is the sight dead straight? If the sight's twisted, then it's going to be very precise but not accurate. If the sight's so that's like validity. Are you getting the thing you want to get? Precision is I'm going to get exactly the same point every time. Yeah. But the trouble in science often is you don't have any gun sight. You don't have any way of identifying the thing you're trying to get at except by means of the tests you're currently using. That's what makes the whole question of validity so difficult. That you don't have any way of getting onto the schizophrenia or whatever otherwise than through your current tests. So what is there a brain virus there or not? You don't know. Your only way of getting in it is by using the checklists you've currently got. Okay. Anything else on that? This is really important, I think, in any kind of discussion of sciences. It actually just came home to me in the last year how key this distinction is and how it pervades all of science, that question of the validity of the concepts that are being used. One big idea in science has always been putting numbers on things. That one way to get valid scientific concepts is if you can put numbers on them. One of the pioneers of chemistry was a PhD student who did not do all that well, and having completed his PhD, did not quite know what to do. So he wanted to put numbers on things. At that time, the distinction between an element and a compound was just coming into play. And he said, well, what can I do to put numbers on the elements? Well, what he did was he weighed them. That seems like an extremely stupid thing to do, right? Just weigh them. But it gives you a way of putting numbers on them. And when you put numbers on all the elements, when you weigh them, when you get the weights of all the elements, you are already on your way to the periodic table. That's really the foundation of the periodic table. Discovering that the chemical properties of an element are a periodic function of its atomic weight. You are really getting there. And that's the foundation of all chemistry today. Once you did that simple thing of just putting a number on each element by weighing it. So with human beings, we want to study human beings scientifically. So you want to find magnitudes about humans that you can put a number on. And with intelligence, it's a very natural strategy. That's how we're going to begin the science of human beings. We want to get a periodic table of human beings. With IQ tests, you literally can put a number on people, and then you can find out how that impacts their behaviors. And just as with putting numbers on the elements, of course, when you're just weighing an element, that gives you a pretty crude, rough approximation, and then you find the deep basis of it in the atomic number. Then with intelligence, you can say, well, what I'm going to do is I've got a rough, crude way of putting numbers on people using IQ tests, and maybe that's going to reflect some underlying biological reality, like in correspondence with the atomic number. That's the way to approach human beings scientifically. People sometimes talk about the unreasonable effectiveness of mathematics, that there doesn't seem to be any particularly good reason why the world should be governed by mathematical laws, and if you were God making the world, then how can you do it mathematically? What's so special about maths? Why not give a special significance how these might apply to the study of human beings. Anything on that? Please do. Okay, so let me ask you a further question. There's lots and lots of different IQ tests. I'm sure many of you will have done one or another kind of them. Now, they're reliable. People tend to get similar results whenever they do an IQ test. I'm sorry to say that you tend to get a bit worse on them as you get older, but there you go. But that apart, the thing is reliable. People get the same kind of result each time they do it. So you can ask the same question here that I was asking about schizophrenia. You've got a checklist for putting a number on someone when you say, this is how intelligent you are. But is it the number that you want? I mean, is it valid? Like, what is your immediate hunch? Can I ask you, okay, so when you take it that IQ tests are valid measurements of something, there is something there that the gun side is getting you onto. Put out your hand if you think the answer is yes. They are getting onto something real. And if you think the answer is no, and if you really truly don't have any opinion in this, wait a minute. There are three possibilities here, yes, no, and no opinion. Isn't that right? Let's do that again. How many people think the answer is yes? And how many people think the answer is no? And how many people don't have an opinion, don't have you? Okay. Okay, so I make that roughly even, maybe slightly more yes than no, but roughly even. Okay, that is really interesting. I think it's a very hard question. And how would you resolve it? Well, the way it goes is that there are batteries of tests testing different kinds of ability, and what you find is that they're all correlated. So if you take the IQ number, if you took this class and took the IQ number for everyone, and then you looked at their scores on different verbal tests and on different mathematical tests, well, what this diagram shows is degree of correlation. So if you see the line going through the center there, up and down, that's the IQ number, and how far one of the other lines deviates from it represents how correlated it is with that central IQ number. So if you got another line going straight up and down in the middle there, that would be perfectly correlated with IQ number. If it deviates a bit, it's imperfectly correlated. If it deviates a lot, it's not correlated at all. Does that make sense? So what you find is that there's a lot of correlation between these different tests. You can put this abstract number, the IQ number, on the center axis, and then you find that these other tests are not deviating all that much. They're pretty highly correlated. So then we say, okay, there is an underlying, as it's called in the trade, G here, an underlying quantity G that different people have. And so your G factor will be something that enters into your performance on all these other tasks. And so that underlying G is being used when you do a verbal task or when you do a mathematical task. But other skills are coming into play too. So you'll have specifically verbal or mathematical ability with this underlying G that's coming in. So people talk about the saturation of a test by G. And the important general finding is that subtests measuring different abilities tend to be positively correlated. People who score high on one such subtest are likely to be above average on others as well. So you've got here a checklist way of putting a number on people. And it really predicts well how people are going to do. One early hypothesis is that there's something here in the nature of an energy or power, how much battery power your whole cortex has. The particular group of neurons specifically serving a particular kind of operation, whether it's verbal or mathematical, that would thus you have this general supply of energy, how powered up your whole brain is, and then these specific tasks are using other specific brain areas. So there are lots of hypotheses as to what the brain activity might be that correlates with G, so with your IQ number. So it might be something like, I don't know why this always makes me laugh, but velocity of neural processing. There is some evidence that just how fast your brain processes stuff, that's correlated with your IQ number. But there are other things correlated. The mere size of your brain is correlated. So there truly is a correlation between hat size and IQ number. Okay, so that makes it look like the periodic table. That makes it look like we've got a way here of putting numbers on people, and now we're finding the analog of atomic number. We're finding the bit of biology that this corresponds to. So if intelligence here is really a causal factor, then if you wanted to make a difference to how people perform, how well people do on all these tasks, the first thing you would want to interfere with, the first thing you want to act on, is their intelligence. But there is a question. Is intelligence really something that's causally significant? So we talked about what causal significance means. It means you can come from outside, seize control of intelligence, move it around, and then you get a difference in all these other outcomes. For example, if intelligence is speed of neural processing, then that would be something that you could try to affect, and that would then affect people's behavior on verbal tests or on their motivation or their performance in their jobs and so on. I mean, does that sound right? Can you put up your hand if this sounds right so far? If it sounds wrong? Any comments? Why does it sound right or wrong? Okay. Just doing it in terms of numbers is not that satisfying though, because so long as the G is a kind of abstraction from what you did in all these tests, the trouble is you could do the abstraction in lots of different ways. I mean, this is one of Gould's main points, that if you take those same verbal tasks and mathematical tasks, you could draw a line not straight up the middle, but through the middle of the verbal tasks and through the middle of the math tasks, and say there are two kinds of G. There's verbal G and math G. Not a single quantity here, and you have exactly the same evidence for that as you have for the existence of a single G.